Of course, all four teams can progress. Of course, France have qualified, but Tunisia can still make it. They take on Les Bleus in the other game. Australia in the box seat. They've got 3 points to the name. Denmark just the one. That failure to beat Tunisia first up might just come back to haunt them. What it does mean for this game is Denmark need to win. Australia could progress with a draw. They'll definitely be above Denmark. It depends if Tunisia beat an understrength French side. The match is underway. I'll run you through the lineups in a moment, so we'll see how the game settles down. But myself, Rob Eddy and John Hogan taking you through this one, and a lot of pressure on Denmark.
Yeah, there is, isn't it? And it's kind of surprising, knowing that they need to win, that they've gone with just sort of one striker, Martin Brathwaite, who, what is he? He's about 1 in 6 for Denmark. I mean, he's hardly prolific. Maybe they're playing the long game with this, because we've seen that games can last a long time. Added time could add anything up to 20 minutes, so you never know. Anyway, maybe an early chance for them. I mean, I would have assumed that Denmark would beat Australia anyway. Australia don't often qualify and wouldn't be expected to beat European opposition necessarily, but that doesn't mean to say that they're not going to do that today. So it'd going to be very interesting to see what the Socceroos have got. They've already got one victory under their sleeve, and obviously Mitchell Duke grabbed a goal, and he'd be feeling great about himself. And his lad was in the crowd last time. Anything can happen when it's trapdoor football, but I think my money would be on Denmark just being too strong.
Yeah, Denmark, of course, were up against it in the Euros after losing their first 2 games. There's a long punt downfield from Anderson. He's way too long through to Matt Ryan, and Australia will have possession. But they lost the first 2 games at the Euros, beat Russia in the third game. I think it was 4-1 in the end to go through on goal difference. So they've been in this position before, Denmark, and not too long ago. So there will be that experience there of coming through must-win clashes. Obviously, Australia aren't necessarily ranked as high as Russia either. Whether rankings mean anything these days is open to question. 2 minutes on the clock, not an awful lot's happened. Just a reminder of the team news. One change for Australia. Milos Degenek has come in for Fran Karacic at right back. It's a 4-4-2, it looks like anyway. And Denmark have switched from a back 3 they employed against France. Obviously narrowly beaten, but beaten all the same. They've gone to a back 4 today, and Mathias Jensen and Andreas Skov Olsen and Martin Brathwaite, they're the 3 who are in, with Victor Nilsson, Mikael Damsgaard. Could be a chance for Australia. Shot comes in from distance, it's blocked on the edge of the box and then just hurriedly cleared by Christensen as they were trying their luck. Martin Brathwaite's the other, with Andreas Cornelius the man to make way. So they're the 3 changes for Denmark, but the first chance we've had, tough to call it a chance. First shot, it was from 20-25 yards. Not a bad strike, but blocked.
It was hit hard, wasn't it? But Joachim Andersen kind of got in the way. I don't know if they're better served with the back 3 and wing backs. I think for me, the Leeds United right back, Christensen, is certainly better when he doesn't have to defend. And the other guy on the left, Joachim Mele, the Atalanta player, gallops forward really well. I just think it's clipping their wings a little bit. They're both better going forward. Maybe flat back 4. We'll see if that allows him to press the players forward, and those 2 fullbacks in particular. First little break forward from Andreas Skov Olsen, and he was just being hauled back there and bundled over. It was a free kick. I just think a little bit sloppy there from Mitchell Duke, trying to get in behind. Real striker's challenge.
Yeah, yellow card as well for Australia. Bajic it was who was picked up the booking. Free kick's a fair way out, so I don't think they're going to go for goal. Skov Olsen has stood over it, but he's actually left it to Eriksson. Ball in towards the penalty spot. He's just headed clear, kept alive though by Denmark, not particularly well. And back there is McGree to help clear his lines. Denmark gaining possession. Eriksson, the deepest man for Denmark at the moment. Obviously, he took the free kick. Schmeichel took a touch, and it wasn't a great one. That means it's a hurried clearance, which he sliced into touch. So Australia have a throw-in just inside the Danish half, and have possession back. But it's got to be a worry. Left back Bajic, an early yellow card. He's up against it already.
Yeah, absolutely. as is Beich. I've seen Dundee United a couple of times this season early doors because they were in European competition, and then they're up against Celtic, and I think they conceded 14 goals. So maybe not the greatest of seasons for him. Ball to the box here, and Denmark looking for a corner kick. It was fired in at the feet of Matthijs Jensen, the Brentford man. Couldn't quite recycle the ball from Christensen, who again barnstorming forward, but it was put out seemingly by Kai Rolls, another one who plays in Scotland, and it was adjudged to have come off the Brentford man because it's an Aussie kick out, and the ball goes straight out the halfway line, so Denmark get it back. Early signs, Rob, here. Denmark already beginning to get on top, and to my eye they look a better team already.
Yeah, just only into the 6th minute. Obviously haven't quite had a chance yet as such, because they haven't quite got it into the 18-yard box, and that's a poor pass out to the left-hand side from Jensen, looking for Lindstrom. It's behind his teammate and it's into touch, throwing to Australia halfway inside their own half. Of course, the problem when you do have to win, you get a little bit desperate and anxious to get that ball forward. It's certainly possible. It wasn't. We didn't see it last night from Wales. They were playing a patient game. Obviously, it didn't quite turn out the way they would have wanted.
One way of putting it. They were that patient. They never really got on the ball, did they? I mean, they were just outplayed last night by a superior team in every department. And here, like I said, it's been a really good start, I think, by Denmark. Here comes Mæhle, and an opportunity, right-footed cross. Oh, and in the end, Brathwaite's nearly got in front of the keeper there. The Espanyol striker, I thought might just be able to flick it. Matt Ryan came out, did well to get it in the end. He plays his football at Copenhagen, of course, doesn't he? So you know about a few of these guys, but you know that ball could have just been taken away from him there.
Yeah, he just seemed to be a little bit slow to react there, but he just got there in the nick of time as Aaron Moy collides with his own teammate there, Irvin, and Denmark come forward again down the right-hand side with Skov Olsen. Ball played into the box, had a little bit too much on it for Jensen, but that's not the first time Jensen's been the highest man up the field for Denmark. So obviously he was one of the changes, and he's been making runs beyond Brathwaite. So potentially, looking at goal scorers for Denmark. Of course, Brathwaite came closest to that left wing cross moments ago from Mæhle. But they are getting bodies into the box. Denmark, as yet, no efforts at goal. Really, we've only had the one strike, and that was from distance by Australia, which got blocked anyway, just on the edge of the box. But certainly Denmark shading things early doors. Haven't tested Matt Ryan yet. Bit of head tennis on the halfway line. Eventually falls for Højbjerg and Denmark, but he's been caught in possession as a chance. No, it's a terrible pass in the end. Goodwin didn't really look up, played it out to the left-hand side for Beich, but way too far in front of his teammate, into touch. It's a Danish throw. They've gone back to Schmeichel with it. He's closed down by Duke, so has to clear first time. There's some more head tennis on the halfway line. Again, it's gone the way of the men in red, albeit going backwards in possession. Schmeichel collects the ball again. Obviously, I did mention Tunisia could beat France and still stop one of these two sides progressing.
They've just scored. So there we go. It's in the lap of the gods, isn't it? That's the goal that probably wasn't wanted for both the two teams in this, looking at it. But anyway, yeah, an early goal for Tunisia. Gandry in the other game. Nader Gandry, and that set the cap right amongst the pigeons. Yeah,
the goal difference obviously isn't great for Australia in that regard. If they were to draw this, because they got beaten 4-1 by France, so they're up against it. Of course, they did beat Tunisia, so they're a goal back there, but it's going to have to be a win, it would appear. I don't think a draw. No, goal's just been chalked off for Tunisia, offside. So it's as you were, and it's Australia on the attack down the left-hand side with Behic. He's got to the edge of the box, cross blocked by Jensen. In fact, it wasn't blocked by Jensen. It was just an awful cross, sliced horribly and high over the bar behind for a goal kick to Denmark. But there is a semblance of threat by Australia in this game. We do think Denmark have started the better of the two sides, but the threat is there, and until that first goal goes in, Denmark are going to be nervous.
I think what Australia are doing, they set the stall out, whether they're good enough or not. They're keeping players up the field. I think it's one of those things where like we said, if Denmark are a back four, well, the full-backs will still get forward, and we've seen that already. You know, that could lead to him being short at the back, because Jensen wants to bomb into the box. So that only leaves the Højbjerg as your defensive screen, really, and he'll go box to box. So at a certain point, we might see 3 against 2 then with Australia 1 man extra. You know, we'll see Duke and McGree, but it seems like they want to be an attacking 3 and play as high up the field. So if Denmark make a mess of it all and overbalance, then you never know. Skov ball into the box, an opportunity that's blocked away. Great block, I think, by Harry Suter. But again, yeah, Denmark just looking a tad too strong today.
Yeah, they've overloaded each flank at the moment, having a bit of joy down the right-hand side. Now Australia attacking down their left, early ball in, headed away by Andersen. It's a controlled header as well to find Christensen. Denmark back in possession. That's good play from Skov Olsen, waiting for the run of Jensen, who's now just crossing into enemy territory. Skov Olsen up in support, but they've just slowed down the break at the moment. Australia have got back behind the ball, and Denmark just trying to control the passage of play.
Just looking at the France lineup, Rob, and
could be a chance here. Jensen in the box, right-hand side. He's gone for goal. It's tipped over the bar by Ryan. Australia got half asleep there because it looked a miscontrol from Brathwaite. The only man who's gambled is Jensen. I don't know what that back four of Australia was doing. Behic, what was he waiting for? He didn't make the challenge. It is a tight angle and it's saved.
Yeah, it's on target though. It's a good hit, isn't it, in the end? Needed to be saved in the near post. A bit of movement on the ball. I thought there was a really clever touch to play Jensen in round the corner, that ball. Just came back to France. If you're looking at what they've got going forward, Ferretu, Kolo, Muani, Kingsley Combs, a decent player, then Guendouzi, Camavinga. It's not that strong a French side, is it?
Corner to Denmark then. It's the first set piece of the game, certainly corner. There have been a couple of free kicks, but not in particularly dangerous areas. Not for the first time in this tournament. Referee gives a corner and then immediately has a word with the jostlers in and around the penalty spot, talking to both sides. 2 arms have gone up from Eriksson, if you know the Danish calls, and it's delivered in towards the near post, headed away by Australia, powerfully so as well. That might go out of play near the halfway line. It does, because Højbjerg's happy to let it go into play, into touch rather, and will take the throw in. Obviously Australia have plenty behind the ball at the moment, and it's taken short to Andersen. Back to Højbjerg, who just rather dallied in possession there. He's put under a little bit of pressure by McGree, but yeah, Andersen's there in support, and Denmark do have a man over. More good pressing though from Australia, this time down the right hand side with Leckie trying to close down Mæhle, and Denmark have been forced to go back to Schmeichel. Obviously the press might just hurry a mistake out of Denmark. It might also leave them exposed if Denmark are able to beat it with a run or a pass, as Brathwaite tries to get away down the right, but a good strong challenge from Suter just to throw in to Denmark. But level with the edge of the 18-yard box, right hand side. Game entering the 14th minute. Still no goals, no particularly good chances, although Jensen has of course tested Ryan from a very tight angle. Needed saving, and it was a good save. It wasn't the clearest cut chance that Jensen's ever going to have, as Denmark come down the left with Mæhle, who's already high up the pitch, going in towards the box, plays it into the D. Brathwaite gets it out of his feet, was a chance to shoot. Instead he gives it to Skov Olsen, who on his right foot slipped possibly. He's got underneath it, over the bar, goal kick.
Yeah, it never looked like he was going to score from there. You know, Brathwaite does well initially and holds off a challenger who did slip. Then we might say Skov Olsen's standing leg went just as he's about to hit that ball, but I think he'd thrown himself off balance there anyway, Rob, so, you know, probably architect of his own doom. I think, you know, you're not going to get too many goals if you don't take shots. But equally, I just think that maybe there's a little bit more play in that, and it wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. There's obviously bound to be anxiety. I mean, like we said, it's trapdoor football, and you know they've a great chance of qualifying, I think, Denmark. But I think the reason they put Brathwaite in as well, rather than a bigger striker, he's only 5'10", is because they didn't want to just lump the ball into the box and get desperate. So I think that's their problem today, is that, you know, they want to get ahead early. You can see that they made a good start to it. You know, it's just whether they sort of, you know, can maintain sort of steady progress rather than just snatching at things and being too desperate.
Yeah, I thought the better chance in that last attack was Brathwaite, but he didn't actually want to shoot there for whatever reasons. He had a little bit of space just inside the box, but he opted to play it out to Skov Olsen, and Skov Olsen's the target for another one, but this time it's sliced from Christensen into touch. Australia throw, maybe halfway inside their own half. They're not in a particular rush to take it. Obviously, it's been quite a decent tempo to the game, lots of pace and energy from both sides when Australia have had the ball, which admittedly hasn't been very often. 62% possession Denmark. But when Australia have had the ball, they have tried to get bodies in the box. They've been forced back to Matt Ryan here, who's just sliced it a little bit. It is kept in by Goodwin, who flicks down the line. Two Danish players getting each other's way, and there's a chance to break, but it's well read in the end by Christensen, and Denmark have it back. I think that was Andersen and the other Christensen with a K, who clashed into each other going for the aerial challenge. But Christensen was able to sweep up. There's a chance there for Australia. It didn't quite take it. Perhaps had more time than they thought. But Denmark back in control of the ball. They've had a lot of it in the opening 16 minutes. And it's Skov Olsen who's been as lively as anyone down the Danish right. Lays off though to Christensen. Now to Lindström. Out to Jensen. His cross. I think it took a deflection. Balloons up and over Brathwaite in the middle. Mailer wasn't quite up in support, so Australia are able to clear, although that's a heavy touch, and then a strong challenge from McGree. Didn't do himself any favours there. Free kick to Denmark towards the left touchline, halfway inside the Australia half, and it's just inviting a little bit more pressure on their 18-yard box. Again, the free kick is too far out to go for goal.
He's struggling to mount any challenges here. They've just not seen enough of the ball. Possession stats, I guess, are about 60-odd% for Denmark, and most of the games been played in the Australian half. I think they're going like this. They go on and win the game. They'll just create enough opportunities. But so far, so good. Australia holding firm.
Deep ball in, header at the far post, and trying to go for goal as Christensen. Andreas Christensen, but it's behind. It's into the side netting. Ryan looked as though he had it covered. Perhaps would have been better served just keeping it alive than going for goal. But obviously it's an effort at goal as Denmark win the ball back on the halfway line. I've seen an awful lot of it, which would be a worry for Australia. It would be a bigger worry, of course, if Denmark had scored, but they haven't yet. Obviously it took a while. It's not quite the same, but England didn't need to win last night. It took them a while to get that first goal, and that's a mistake in the middle of the park. Could be a chance for Australia to counter down the right hand side with Leckie, who cuts back in onto his left foot and then tried to look for a pass out wide. Never once thought about shooting. It wasn't a great pass. A couple of ricochets back with Schmeichel, and Denmark can build again.
Well, they had numbers again, didn't they, Australia, when play breaks down, you know, and if they can get the ball the right place, then there's plenty of support. Just after that, you know, the way it unfolded, it wasn't particularly cultured, was it? And, you know, they wasted a good opportunity, and they're not going to get many of those. Ball
down the left, and Mailer's in space. He's onside, into the box now. He's trying to go around the outside of the defender. Shot took a deflection, comes back. Just missed the follow-up effort from Jensen before it's hacked away. Ryan did well there because the cross took two deflections, and in the end he just had to scrape it away with anything. I think it was his boot in the end. And it just stayed away from the red shirts. Credit to Australia, but that certainly was harum scarum stuff. And they're living on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, that was like it was in slow motion, wasn't it? Just waiting for someone in a red shirt to end up on the end of that. Apart from the keeper, nobody really reacted out of the Socceroos inside their own box there. We definitely slow motion, and we just sort of see the ball, wait for a red shirt to get on, thump it in, but that never happened. But the more I watch this, I sort of fancied Denmark going into it, and there's nothing inspired about that, is there? They would be favourites, but they look worthy favourites now for me. 20 minutes gone, and you know, all the good stuff and all the pressure really has come from them. They're not quite laying siege to Socceroos' goal just yet, but they're making inroads quite easily. The way that Mailer got rounded back there, the left wing back, you know, he caused all that consternation, and Ryan just about scraped. It was with the right boot in the end, wasn't it? He cleared his line, but it could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, I think he actually saved the first one with his hand, but it was back going towards the goal, so he kicked it away with his boot. But that, you know, took a deflection on the cross, so obviously he was already wrong-footed. So he's done his job, and well, Australia did theirs as well, because they got to the loose ball first. Into the 21st minute, Denmark controlling the game, but they haven't got a breakthrough yet. As things stand, it's Australia going through to the knockout stages. Obviously, to deny them, Tunisia need to beat France, unless they lose this game, of course, as Eriksson arrows one out to Skov Olsen. It wasn't a great touch. Behic has got the challenge in. It's going to be a corner, though. They have showed some kind of threat from set pieces. Christensen with that free kick headed into the side netting, but perhaps not clear-cut. Australia been caught napping. They've taken the corner short. Eriksson with the ball towards the far post, and it's nodded back down into a dangerous area, but scrambled clear by Behic. I think it's gone behind. In fact, there's a free kick against Denmark, so relief all round for Australia. Having said that, a few times they've been caught napping in this game. Just not quite on it at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's an obvious target, Anders Christensen, isn't he? And getting round the back, he's a big target to hit. Joachim Andersen is another one. Referee already having a word with Matt Ryan about time wasting. Wowee. But with the amount of time that they actually do add on for people wasting time, I wouldn't have seen there was any great virtue in it, because they're going to catch up with him anyway. Australia, you can't write them off at 0-0. Like we said, it's trapdoor football. Anything can happen. But just for the moment, they're just not getting on the ball enough. And actually, although we said it's a good thing that they've got two strikers, and here they go. Well, they'll just break off the first real shot in anger. Riley McGree, the Borough man, with a half volley, left-footed, but it's almost like a pass back to Kasper Schmeichel. But it's risk-reward. What they lose with that is they're being dominated in the middle of the park. But whenever they do break, or if Denmark gets sloppy and it's like waiting for somebody else to make a mistake, at least they do have numbers forward. So that's kind of like the game that we've got right now.
Ball played back towards the edge of the Danish box. Christensen won the first header. Jensen there with a heavy touch. Now it's inviting challenges. The ball's ricocheted and bounced up and hit McGree's hands. So it's a free kick for handball against Australia. I have to say, I didn't think the last corner into the box was a foul. There was 3 Australian defenders. And, Denmark won their header, but 2 misjumped it. The other one didn't get off the ground, and he wasn't even trying to get off the ground. I don't know where the referee saw a free kick there from, but at least it didn't deny a goal. Australia probably were going to get the second ball and clear, as it's another long ball downfield looking for the run of Skov Olsen. Behic is there first, though, heads it into touch. Attacking throw for Denmark, not too far from the corner flag. Christensen is invited forward to take it. He wants an option, and Jensen is quickly there. It's laid back towards the halfway line, and Denmark happy in possession. But we have passed the midway point as Christensen launches this to the edge of the box. Christensen, the other one, just overran it, and Denmark are forced away from goal. But the pressure still on. Lots of bodies behind the ball. In fact, everybody's back for Australia on this particular occasion, trying to deny Denmark the space. They have done, because it's back to the halfway line. Good point to hand over, John. Still 0-0 in the game. Denmark on top. Not that many chances.
No, not yet. But it's not exactly been cagey either. We've got the stall set. Denmark here get round the back again with Miller. Tries to cut inside. Moy's done a really good job there, back and defending. He was a key cog in Australia's victory last time. He's not really gotten the ball too often today. Good sliding challenge. Denmark have it back with Eriksson. Then Mailer back on the inside. A chance maybe Skov Olsen. It looked like he might have shot there. Now he will shoot. The ball just scraped off his toe end. An easy pick up for Matt Ryan. But again, it's pretty good that from Denmark. You know, they're keeping the ball tight areas in the final third, managing to create a half chance. I know that he never really caught hold of it there, but again, it's good build-up play, that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a couple of efforts he's had, Skov Olsen, which haven't been great. I think if he was shooting on his left foot, it might be a different story. But he looks a little bit tentative on his wrong end. But again, like you say, he's a good player. I mean, it's simple stuff, really. A 1-2, and he's in behind, and he's shooting at goal. Denmark could have worked that a little bit better. They haven't quite heeded the warning signs, Australia, but I suppose if it stays 0-0, there's less to be worried about. I don't know, they're attacking down both flanks, and there seems to be a lot of space for whoever's running down those flanks, Mæhle or Skov Olsen or Lindstrøm, and I can see a goal coming from there.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they're going to score today. They're on it, really, Denmark. Just to say that, the ball got a little bit long, and they booted it straight out. Christensen got a header on it, but he was out of play at the time, so Australia will get it back. And just for the moment, Graham Arnold is out in his technical area. It looks less than thrilled, but they just haven't seen enough of the ball. At the moment, it looks like a team who's probably going to get beat if it carries on like it is. I don't know what he could do to change it, though. He set his stall out. He's got bodies up the field. I quite like that, you know. But for the moment, 62% possession for the Danes, and I think the only fear for them is if they do make a huge mistake, get super sloppy, or just overdo, trying to throw bodies forward. But at the moment, they've even done that well. You know, they've only got one striker, seemingly Brathwaite, but they've got enough attack because Skov Olsen keeps getting forward, Jensen keeps popping up in the box, and we know that Eriksen's got goals in him. Just for the moment, then the ball back with Kai rolls. The Hartsman thumps it into midfield, picked up by Craig Goodwin. A couple of the players actually play their football in Australia, which is a little bit of a surprise, I suppose. But anyway, not the strongest of leagues. But anyway, ball just one back in the middle of the park by Højbjerg, and then thumped up the field by Schmeichel, who's the captain, I think, on the field today. Is he? Or looks like Eriksen actually might have the armband. Thought it'd be one of the two. No Simon Kjær in the team today. No back three. There's a decent ball, and then a header from Goodwin into the box, but to nobody in particular, and it's very easy for Schmeichel to come out and claim that. It's like hitting Hope ball in. They need to do a lot better, don't they, the Socceroos?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably Australia's best spell. I mean, it sounds silly because they didn't end up with a shot, but, you know, they're attacking the box, okay, the final ball isn't quite there, but then they're winning it on the halfway line. They haven't done that very often, so a bit of respite from a defensive aspect. I think they're making the wrong decisions, though. There was a good run there through the middle from Duke, but the pass went out to the left, and you know, Duke's in the middle of the goal. Okay, I mean, I didn't think the pass had to be fantastic because he's got half a yard on the defender. A couple of other opportunities. McGree's trying to feed out to the flank. Nobody's really taking the bull by the horns when it gets in and around the box for Australia. So I don't think they're necessarily helping themselves. Better decision making. Obviously, it'd help if the passes were executed better as well. But given the start and Denmark constant possession, it's something of a relief. So Australia have come into just getting their way into this game now.
Yeah, they need something, don't they? And maybe stringing a couple of passes together or doing something, but they're playing like a bunch of strangers. But anyway, here they go, and they've made some ground up the field now. The cross comes in from the right-hand side, but he blocked away at source. And now the counter-attack is on. Clever little heel and a good ball forward now. Break down the left-hand side for Lindstrøm. He's all right foot. He forces forward, though. The cross comes in, and that's a good block as well. Ball breaks back to Eriksen, still in the box. They haven't cleared their lines. He drills a shot, and it goes well wide. In the end, the Socceroos have got enough bodies back there just as well. Degenek, I think the Columbus Crew player, had put a good block in there, and the ball's into the box. But again, Denmark looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Jensen's the highest man up the field as well. I mean, I have to admit I've been a little bit disappointed by Brathwaite. He had a nice touch in the build-up there, but it's 29 minutes gone and he's done precious little. Brathwaite. Jensen, I'm not sure he's going to last 90 minutes if he's the one that's making the runs all of the time. How many times has he got into the box? Plenty. But again, it's the final ball, isn't it? On this occasion, it was a shot from Eriksen. Now, they backed off I don't think Jensen. I think Jensen would have, if the ball had gone in, he was stood in front of the keeper, not making much of an effort to get out of his way, so he'd have been offside. But it's a pretty poor shot from Eriksson, and the final pass, the final shot, is not been great. Ryan's really only made one save, and that was from a ridiculously tight angle.
Here we go, Degenek again holding up Lindstrom, who's done pretty well. Eriksson on the ball, he just stood off him. Again, Mæhle back on it. Everybody on that left-hand side for Denmark is right-footed, it seems, and ready to cut in and strike, but as yet, we're still 0-0. It's 0-0 in the other game as well. Tunisia against France. As now Andreas Christensen rolls forward. Ball goes back out to the skipper today, Eriksson. Drags the ball forward. Poor first touch by Højbjerg. And they've got to fight for it. But Lindstrom and Moy lock horns. And it looks like Aaron Moy's come away with at least the throwing out of that. Yeah, it's one of those nervous games, isn't it? I'm sure the fans sort of watching in the stand for both Australia and Denmark will not be enjoying it. Australia can't get on the ball enough, and they're playing like a bunch of strangers. We've hardly seen a passage of play where there's 4 or 5 passes. And for Denmark, it's just, where's that final ball? You know, I think eventually, a shot will come in that's too good for Ryan, but we haven't seen it yet, so they're unlikely to be happy with what they've seen.
No, I mean, the tempo's just dropped a little bit as well from Denmark. I thought they were quite sort of fast and energetic. I mean, obviously, fatigue is going to set in, understandable, but they're back on the ball and they're controlling it. They've just got to keep making those runs, keep them stretched. We're seeing Mæhle more so than Christensen as the fullbacks getting forward. Having said that, we're probably seeing more of Skov Olsen than we are of Lindstrom. Australia are breaking, opportunity perhaps.
Yeah, ball into the box, first touch there, leaves a lot to be desired from Mitchell Duke, I think. Just rolled over his foot there rather than him controlling it. As Bates now makes some ground into the middle of the park. Jackson Irving with a chip ball forward to nobody in particular, and again there's just a lack of talent seemingly. Somebody needs to pick a pass. Some decent defending there by Kai Rolls, and he does his job. And then the ball just laid back by Bates, back to his keeper. Matt Ryan gets it out with his feet, and they're able to clear their lines. But there looks a bit of a chasm in the class of these two at the moment. Australia can't keep the ball, don't pass it well enough, don't look like they've got enough quality. Nobody's going to quarterback that ball into their 2 strikers today, seemingly. Maybe not enough pace to get round the back either, and I just can't see how it's going to happen other than Denmark overcommitting and making a huge mistake, somebody slipping up, that kind of thing, or maybe a corner. Not even sure about that, because it looks to me like Andreas Christensen is the dominant figure aerially as well. So I think they've got a lot sewn up here, Denmark. Can they make the best of it though? Mæhle there, first touch, absolutely stops him stone dead there, and Degenek is able just to clear it to the halfway line. Whereas we had fluency and a bit of impetus early doors from Denmark, that seems to have disintegrated to some degree in the heat. Højbjerg back on it, Christensen now, and he swaps passes with Anderson. Mæhle yet again runs into trouble. I don't know how hot it is today at the Al Janoub Stadium, but they're making me feel warm now, and everybody's just gone into holding it together mode, and it looks a bit Sleepy Hollow out there as the ball is thumped across. Skov Olsen can't bring it into Brugesman, and it looks a relatively simple ball to control, but he's now looking hot and bothered. He just pulls his shirt up and mops his brow. So I think the heat is definitely playing its part. 34 minutes gone, still goalless.
Yeah, obviously ball possession will be key then, particularly for Denmark, because obviously they need to score. Australia quite happy if it's just a scrappy, everybody's tired, nothing happens kind of thing. But obviously there are substitute options as well. Ball over the top here could be good for Australia, but Mæhle's spotted the danger and is able to take it off Duke's feet, and they do have it back at Denmark. But I mean, the last 5-10 minutes hasn't been particularly fluent from either side, but because they've had most possession, you'd sort of have a go at Denmark for that. I don't really like what Højbjerg's doing. He passed it when he didn't need to back to Anderson, then seemed to have a go at him for not being quick enough with the pass. And it's like, I was thinking, well, you had the ball higher up the field, and now you're moaning at the defender. I think he's been a little bit frustrating because we've seen Jensen bomb into the box. And of course, Christensen's kind of like the quarterback. They want to give him the ball and he'll open things up. I don't think Højbjerg's done enough in this game for me. I think Denmark have got to be a little bit more proactive. They need to win, get the early goal, and it changes the game. Foul against Australia, free kick, might have been offside. Free kick to Denmark, but 10 minutes to go to the break. And even though they've not played well, I mean, you'd have to be happier as an Australia fan because Denmark's dominance is waning.
Well, I mean, as it stands, they go through and the ball given away nearly. Joachim Andersen then does well to pick it up under massive pressure again from Mitchell Duke. Ball down with Moy in the middle of the park. He goes back to Kai Rolls. The Heartsman goes back to Matt Ryan. As it stands, Australia going through, and but I doubt their fans will be sat there smugly thinking, "Oh, that's it. We're sat in the golden ticket right now." All I can think is that it's going to happen sometime sooner or later. I'm pretty sure Denmark are going to score today, and it's just about when that goal comes. At the moment, they've gone on just a little bit quiet, and they've got some defending to do. Mailer gets round the back of Leckie and lays it back to his goalkeeper, Kasper Schmeichel. And like we said, it's still 0-0 in the other game. So everything poised if we're waiting for the ebb and flow, one of those days where it was Tunisia and then it's Denmark and then it's Australia again. Well, it hasn't quite happened. Tunisia had the ball at the back of the net, but that was ruled out offside. That was fairly early in that game against what looks like 11 strangers for France. Very much their second string today. Anyway, Mailer gives the ball away, but then he picks it back up, and in the middle of the park he's just manoeuvred off it. I thought it was a fair challenge in the middle of the park there from Mitchell Duke. He's struggling to pick up the Australia numbers on the back of their shirts from a distance. Anyway, it was Duke there just shouldering in just a little bit to Joachim Mailer, and it's a free kick again for Denmark in their all red strip today. Australia with a yellow shirt and green shorts, white socks. It's one of those cagey games of football. I think nervous is the right way to describe it. Although Denmark tried to get the ball down early, I think the longer it goes where they haven't scored, the more worry or concern there'll be from them. I'm not sure if that's a great breeding ground for fantastic football desperation, but that's where they're at the moment. The ball into the box is easily defended. Højbjerg then heads it up in the air. Skov Olsen fights for it, but can only find Rolls. He's nearly had his pocket picked by Brathwaite, but not quite. And then as the ball rolls forward, neither of McGree or Duke can get on the end of it. Just nodded straight back to keeper. It seems like Joachim Andersen and Anders Christensen have got the measure of Duke and McGree.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, unless they get caught napping. There was an incident where two defenders collided and there was an opening for a better pass, but it wasn't a great pass, and Mailer was mopping up. But yeah, they've struggled to get involved, haven't they, Australia's front men? A couple of efforts maybe, but that's about all we're talking about. Denmark, though, for me, last 10 or 15, they've gone off the boil. Still haven't seen Brathwaite involved in this game. Skov Olsen's gone quiet. I thought he made a bright enough start, but I don't know, maybe those two miss it. So Eriksen's just given it away in terrible fashion. Chance for Australia, although Leckie's just held up. The red shirts are back. But I don't know whether it's because of those early sort of scuffed efforts from Skov Olsen. I mean, we're not even seeing him on the ball anymore. So his influence has certainly waned. Lindstrom hasn't done too much. Eriksen's not opening much up. I mean, I'm being critical of Denmark there, but they're better than Australia at the moment.
Yeah, it's not a right lot in it. If Australia are 5 today, then I think Denmark are maybe 6. But the ball might just break here further up the field. An opportunity. Riley McGree, ball into the box is a poor one. Nodded away by the first man there. That was Højbjerg, who may not be having the greatest of game, but he got in position there. He is sort of Mr. Insurance to help the centre-backs out, and he did his job there. Brathwaite on the ball. It's a little bit better from him. He holds the ball up, finds Rasmus Christensen, who had gone quiet. Skov Olsen now back on the ball. It's all about him cutting onto his left and getting his shot away. Can he do that? No, he uses Christensen, and then Christensen's ball forward, and he's saying, where were you? Well, he wasn't where you played the ball, Mr. Christensen. That was terrible. And again, you know, they come away without having landed a blow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit sorry for Christensen in the sense that I don't think Skov Olsen wanted it, and Jensen's probably offside, so weren't quite on the same wavelength. He's not the most creative fullback, so you know he doesn't want to be, pulling the strings or having the shot. I think they just got to be a bit more alive. I mean, Denmark still haven't got a goal, so they should all be focused on getting this goal, not passing the buck onto somebody else. It can only be a good thing for Australia, but obviously we're 5 minutes away from the break. I'm sure words will be said, maybe even changes. You mentioned Brathwaite did better there. He got lucky because he tried a back heel and it just happened to be trapped in his legs and it wrong-footed a defender, and then he's got space. They've just got to play better, but I thought they started the game all right. I think the manager will be quite happy to get them in at half-time now and have a word, because they've just gone off the boil. I mean, there's still 4.5 minutes to go to the break, so it isn't happening anytime soon. But the last 15 minutes, they haven't done anything, and they've just seemed to be more fractured, different wavelengths, and, Australia have been comfortable.
Yeah, I think it's one of those formations where you think, well, Brathwaite, maybe he'll drag the centre-backs around and just break off, because there's a chance. Duke on the ball, they're all backing away from him. He has a shot. For what it's worth, it was on target, but he's gathered up by Kasper Schmeichel rather than save. That tells you all you need to know. But again there, I watched Rasmus Christensen and just back away from Duke as if, he can have a shot from there. He never really caught hold of it, but that's not exactly great defending. Just letting him have a go. I think it's hopeful for Denmark. It's like, well, we've got an inside right who's left-footed. He'll come in and have a goal. Lindstrom on the other side. He's on the left, but he's right-footed. He can come in and score. The problem is that on the bench they've got two Carter strikers who, Cornelius missed with an easy chance earlier in the tournament. Just break off as the ball into the box. Well, it leaves a lot to be desired. Lindstrom there again. He's on the left-hand side, but he ain't a left winger. He's supposed to score with his right foot. And then when he's got a chance to put a decent ball in with his left, he can't do it.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it the other side as well. Skov Olsen, the standing foot's not been good. He's done that twice now. His first cross, which came very early in the game with the outside of his right boot, looked a little bit more dangerous than that one. That almost looked like he's passed it to the keeper. It does frustrate me when... I don't know who started the trend, but you've got to have a right footer on the left wing and a left footer on the right wing. It's just, that's twice they've done it now, and it just doesn't look good. It's a waste. It's almost pointless beating the man if you're going to cross it badly.
I tell you, ruins everything for everybody. Ian Robin, who plays like that, who cut in and score goals, and he scores loads of goals. You think, oh, that's a good idea. Look at him thumping it in the back of the net, and we'll have a go at that. And then you don't do it. When Fulham were in the top flight last time, they forgot to. They tried the same thing and forgot to get the ball to Mitrovic this time around. So, I tell you what, we'll try and get some crosses in for the big lad. And all of a sudden they're scoring a few goals. I'd swap them out, take Brathwaite off at half time. And although I don't really rate either of Cornelius or the other fella, Kasper Dolberg, could come on and provide a little bit of a threat that they just don't have. They might even win second ball at the edge of the area and be able to thump it in from there. But for the moment, I just don't think that Kasper Heuman's ploy is working. His tactics just don't look like they're going to yield any great profit. Anyway, 44 minutes gone. It is goalless as Matt Ryan launches the ball off to the chest of Leckie. Done really well there, but he invites the challenge of Mailer, who just turns the ball away. Be a great time now for the Socceroos to nick a goal. It seems like Denmark have almost stopped themselves in their own track, so maybe a chance here. It looks like Degenek's got a long throw. Up he steps then, launches the ball. It is quite a long one, but doesn't beat Højbjerg, who heads it away. Moy scrapes it back around the corner. Degenek another chance to sling it in the mixer, and he should have done that, and instead he dilly-dallies, shilly-shallies and waits till the ball's taken off him. Brathwaite now trying to turn a corner. Had two big players around him as Moy picks it back up in midfield. He then gives it away, wins it back, gives it away again. He's super scrappy before the end of the half. The ball flicked forward, but again, Christensen is that little bit bigger than Mitchell Duke and nods the ball away from him. Really scrappy end to the half, this. A half that promised a fair amount the first 10 or 15 minutes when Denmark were playing well, and you thought at least Australia should have a chance to counter-attack as they were holding players up the field, but all that has evaporated, really. Degenek has got the chance of a long throw again, parallel with the edge of the area, more or less. Ball comes in, Højbjerg wins it, but then Leckie spoons it up in the air. Schmeichel comes out and punches, and I think he should have caught that. He wasn't under that much pressure, but anyway, it didn't really matter because the red and whites are able to clear their lines. Leckie tries to recycle it, the ball breaks here, back out. Brathwaite again, all he's got to do there is hold the ball, but he can't do that. And that allows Australia a little bit of possession again, and guess what? They have it for a nanosecond. Eriksson then fires the ball out, finds Skovholson, that's a good ball. Just bounds up on him though. He's a little bit unlucky there as Bates gets stuck into him. The ball would never come down, and then he's just giving it away. And then he fouls his man in the middle of the park. I think he chopped through the back of Craig Goodwin. And well, this game getting really scrappy.
Yeah, I mean, half-time can't come quick enough for either of them. In Australia, I wouldn't say they're hanging on. They're quite like this scrappiness and the fact there's no fluency, but, you know, they've got to be tired. Denmark are running out of energy and running out of ideas, it seems. They don't appear to be on the same wavelength. I wouldn't be surprised to see Denmark make changes at the break. They ain't got time to hang around in the sense that they've got to win. And Brathwaite, I mean, he hasn't even offered the runs. The runs have been coming from Jensen or Mæhle. It's been an absolute passenger in this game, and I feel a bit sorry for Denmark. And somebody like Jensen, who's probably ran about 95 kilometres, and it doesn't appear Brathwaite has. Stats will probably tell me I'm wrong there, but here come Australia, ball in low, turned away at the near post by Christensen, just as stoppage time is almost stopped. Australia on the attack, exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, not a bad ball from Goodwin. It needed to be dealt with, but it was. Again, it just seems like the Danish centre-backs are more than capable of coping with the most things that are thrown at them. And Australia haven't really put any good ball into their strikers. Again, good work by Moy, but this time Christensen is able to clear his lines. Whenever you see a cross from left-hand side like that, Christensen nowhere to be seen anyway. It didn't matter, did it? And the referee, he's seen enough. So at the Al Janoub Stadium at half-time, it is Australia 0, Denmark 0.
Well, a warm welcome back to our coverage of the action taking place at the Al Janoub Stadium. As things stand, Australia heading through to the knockouts. It's goalless between Australia and Denmark. It's also goalless between Tunisia and France. Obviously, if Tunisia were to come up with a second half winner, then that would affect the outcome of this game. Goal difference would be next best, and Australia's isn't great in the sense that, yes, they did beat Tunisia 1-0, but they lost 4-1 to France. So they might just be hoping that France do them a favour. They've still got to see off Denmark, who were the better of the two sides in the first half, but maybe Ryan wasn't worked enough with the superior possession of the Danes. Changes have been made at the break. Bring you those in a moment, as Denmark have just got to clear their lines, and that's not well done. It's Australia's first corner. Kasper Schmeichel, it wasn't a great ball out to Christensen. Having said that, Christensen could have controlled it better than he did, and it's gone behind for a corner kick. Bacchus has come on for Goodwin for Australia. I think there was a Danish change as well. I'll bring you that in a moment. But let's get this corner out of the way. Aaron Moy's gone across to take it on the right for Australia. So liable to be an away swinger. Obviously, they haven't threatened too often, certainly from open play, let alone set pieces. As Saunders whipped in towards the near post, flicked on but cleared away, comes to the edge of the box, shot comes back in, and it wasn't quite struck cleanly by Behic. Denmark getting away, it's going to be just a corner.
Keanu Bacchus is the man who's come on for Craig Goodwin. I saw him recently play for St Mirren. It's the buddy's got a 1-1 draw against Rangers and upset the apple cart there. The other one is Alexander Bars, come on for Rasmus Christensen. He plays right back for Benfica and has grabbed a goal in Denmark colours before.
Corner in from the right. Again, it's towards the near post, but it's Anderson who heads clear back towards the corner taker, who just lets the ball go out of play, so we'll take the throw in instead as Australia try and get the goal that could really put the cat amongst the pigeons. It's a long throw from Degenek. We saw it a couple of times in the first half. Didn't lead to a chance as such, but not always easy to clear deep long throws, but that's a pretty decent header from Højbjerg to get it away from danger. Moy's got the loose ball, dinks it down the line for Leckie, tried a back heel, didn't quite work. Denmark have it back. Christensen goes down the line up towards Brathwaite, who for once holds it up, and now Lindström tries to bring it clear, working a 1-2 with Skov Olsen, laid back to the halfway line. Christensen is caught in Eriksson's caught in possession. Australia breaking down their left channel. There's width out on the left as well from McGree. Low ball back in, fired over the bar from Jackson Irvine. He carried his run into the box. Maybe could have done better. Wasn't necessarily easy, but he was in space. Decent chance.
Yeah, again, not too bad. There's a load of red shirt defenders, but there's nobody picking up. Ball slightly in behind Jackson Irvine, who carries run on the St Pauli man, who plays his football in Germany. Yeah, he's just having to fetch back for it, but I've seen worse attempts there, and it was a good ball to him, and the defending was absolutely non-existent. You know, I'd said they'd been weak with Christensen in the first half defensively, the right back, but yet again, you know, it's the new man this time, Alexander Barr. I'm thinking, well, you've let that cross come in too easily, and then there's absolutely nobody picking up just about the only man he could find in the middle. Australia
started on the front foot then. Obviously a goal for them would really shake things up. Denmark haven't got going in this second half yet. It's Behic rather, who dinks it down the line. It's blocked into touch by Skov Olsen, so it's a throw into Australia. Halfway inside the Denmark half. Behic goes down the line for Jackson Irvine. That wasn't a great first touch from Irvine. Into touch, throw in to Denmark, as obviously the clock becomes a factor in the second half. In fact, they had 4 minutes played, and Denmark haven't really got out of their half in this second period. Sooner or later, they're going to have to commit to just goals one way or the other. Obviously, they only need to win 1-0. That would put them on 4 points. So they only need to win 1-0. It depends on the score in the other game. Because Tunisia and Denmark would then be on 4 points if Denmark were to win this, and of course Tunisia hang on for a 0-0. But obviously that's for the future. Australia will be quite happy with the start they've made to the second half. They haven't been under too much pressure, and they've had a couple of chances, caused a bit of panic from a set piece. Obviously from open play moments ago, Irvin could have done better with a shot around about 12 yards out, perhaps on his weaker left, got underneath it. And again, Denmark are just struggling to clear their lines. Jensen's flick doesn't work. Australia have it back on the halfway line with Aaron Moy, who just dinks it forward for Degenek, who tries to come in field for Lecky, but it wasn't a great pass. Højbjerg wins it back for Denmark. And now's the chance to try and exploit space down the left-hand side. Lindstrøm beaten to it in the end by Suter. It is a Danish throw, though. 20-25 yards from goal, left-hand side, taken quickly. Australia perhaps allowed that a little bit too easy. Lindstrøm back to Mæhle. Just squares it infield to Højbjerg. Looking for options. Everybody back behind the ball for the Socceroos. It's with Andersen on the halfway line. Gets it back off bar. Going away from goal. Denmark at the moment. Christensen over to the left. And Mæhle infield to Eriksson. Forward to Lindstrøm. Back to goal though. Not able to turn. Has to play it the way he's facing, and it's with Andreas Christensen again. Now Højbjerg playing in the right back position at the moment. A diagonal from Andersen will reach Lindstrøm. It comes in field. Mæhle up in support. Tries a sort of pass through the legs. He got it past the first man, but mopping up was Rals. And Denmark will have to begin again from the halfway line. Jensen to Eriksson, back to Christensen. Across to Højbjerg, still in that right back position. Out to Bar, who's got a little bit of space. Coming infield to Jensen, trying to work a 1-2. It's deflected back to Skov Olsen. Now Jensen, right edge of the box, lays it back to Højbjerg though, and now in the centre circle once more. Australia doing a decent job at the moment. They just can't win the ball though. As it's with Jensen on the right. Good ball into the box. Skov Olsen on the turn. He's drilled it into the midriff of Rolls, who's gone down in a crumpled heap. He'll be back on his feet soon. Space on the right for Jensen if he is onside. It wasn't a great first touch. He still has it. Cross towards the far post. Headed away by Suter. And now the break is on for Australia as Irvin turns into a little bit of trouble. Eriksson got a foot in there. Bar can't keep it in. Throw in Australia. But decent opportunity there for Denmark.
Yep, there was. And there was a firm shot, wasn't there? And it seemed to hit the ribs of Kai Rolls, the heart span. He's still in a little bit of discomfort after that. He's bent double and just grimacing there, but did his job. I wasn't sure even if that shot was on target either. I just had the feeling probably just moving away from the goal slightly. It wasn't the worst effort, and he certainly hit it hard. That's what he's there to do, but you kind of know that they are. So I'd just keep showing him the outside if I was defending him, you know, and the same on the other side as well. They don't look like they've got any sort of plan B. You know, plan B seems to be do plan A better for Casper Human's team. And although they've made one change, it's right back. I mean, you know, Alexander Bar doing something similar to Christensen in the first half, but as yet, really, he's not been able to land the blow either. So no apparent real change to setup, as again the ball given away by Denmark. Again they're forced to win it back, but here's a chance.
Lindstrøm down the left-hand side, cutting in field. He just overran it, and Irvin hacks away. Christensen will get there way ahead of McGree, who was a lone Australian downfield with 3 red shirts around him. And so Denmark come again. There was a chance there for Lindstrøm, but it wasn't great control on the edge of the box. He's not quite impacted this game as he may have liked. Now the ball's back at the feet of Kasper Schmeichel. It's still goalless in the other game, incidentally. So it still remains Australia and France going through. Australia in second, of course, as Christensen crosses the halfway line. Finds Mæhle. Bit of an up and under towards Brathwaite, who I'm not sure has touched the ball in the second half. Maybe he has, but he's struggled to feature prominently, that's for sure. and Australia eventually win it back. Forced to go back to Ryan. Again, that wasn't a great first touch. Horrid clearance. Mailer, was he eased out of the way? I think he was. Be a free kick to Denmark, just inside the Australia half. Well, this clock is ticking, and Denmark not convinced they're playing as well in this half as they were in the first.
They're definitely not. No, whatever it was that they had to start with, that conviction seems to have, like we said, evaporated, and don't really understand that. Obviously, they would have talked about being patient. It doesn't matter when the goal comes for them. It could be 10 minutes added time, as long as it does, you know. But the longer they're without it, the more desperate they get too. And actually, Australia have come out, set their stall out. They've played with plenty of spirit in this second half. You know, they put a lot of pace to the game, and here they are again on the ball. Jackson Irving able to turn, and maybe a half chance there, but actually Alexander Bard won the ball back well. Here come Denmark.
Yeah, Jensen fires it into the feet of Lindstrom, who's miscontrolled it. Brathwaite couldn't collect the loose ball. Eriksson somehow was ducked underneath the clearance, which just gave Leckie half a chance. He's then tackled by Christensen, though, and the ball goes into touch for a throw-in to Australia, and it looks as though Denmark are going to make a double change. I think it's Damsgaard and Dolberg who are coming on. I suppose they need goals, so Brathwaite might stay on, but if they're not going full on kitchen sink, then Brathwaite's got to be an option to
I just take him off. He's not doing enough. You could have him big man, little man combination playing him behind, but I wouldn't see the point of that. He's just having a nothing game. You know, I understand that one then. The other one, I think maybe a chance to get crosses in, you know, but equally they could switch the sort of inside right and inside left in order to get crosses in for Dolberg to head in. And again, it looks like Tunisia have scored a goal. We're getting the signal of that. Obviously, VAR can always wipe those out, but for the moment, it looks like they might just have scored. We'll bring you details of that in a second.
Anderson tries a diagonal. He's tried that a lot. It did work. It's a very heavy touch from Lidstrom, but he's done really well to get round his man. Then there's a tug back, is there? He's gone down. Degenek is wagging his finger at the referee, but the yellow card has come out, so both fullbacks are on yellow cards for Australia. I suppose he did reach out and grab him, and well, that's two full. Of course, Bettich got a very early yellow card, but he's managed to get through the subsequent time under not too much pressure, actually. But there's still more than half an hour to go in this game. So two fullbacks on yellow cards. Obviously, they do play with two wingers. Thought he got a little bit lucky there, Lidstrom, in the sense that it wasn't a great first touch. We might just be seeing the changes now for Denmark at this free kick, which is close to the corner flag. Haven't seen boards go up, so maybe they're waiting till the completion of this set piece, but certainly two Danish players are ready to go on. Looks as though that goal is going to stand for Tunisia. Khazri it is. Who's got the goal for Tunisia. Free kick to Denmark in this one, and it's going to be whipped in towards the far post, and well, there's nobody there. Matt Ryan wasn't sure though. It's gone wide. Was Christian Eriksen going for goal? He didn't quite hit the target. It's going to be a goal kick.
Let's take a look at that. I think it was an effort. You know, it was up in the air a while, and in the end it just floated past, but there's a little bit of consternation. Well, Khazri, just looking at his goal, he ran through a massive big gap, just poked it in. It's as simple a goal as you're going to get. Both these two teams today, Australia and Denmark, would love something as simple as that. Anyway, Dolberg and Damsgaard on. I didn't see who they came on for. But big changes, I think. I think that Denmark do need a target. You know, I'm feeling desperate on their behalf. You know, sometimes I think fling the ball up the field, let the big man get on it and see what he can do. See if you can get a knockdown at the edge of the area and pot shot your way from there. If you can't play your way through, you've got to do something else, you know. And I think, you know, it's taken a long time. Sometimes they wait until the hour mark. But anyway, it's come just before that. And I think, you know, given that 90 minutes usually, then you're getting, you know, at least 5 or 6 minutes afterwards. There'll be plenty of time for the new system to work.
I think Brathwaite was the other man who went off, but Jensen went off as well. So I think it's Brathwaite for Dolberg and Damsgaard, well, the other way around. Dolberg for Brathwaite and...
I don't think he's changed his system then. I think that Damsgaard will play Jensen's role, try and get into the box, and obviously Dolberg will play where Brathwaite was playing, but hopefully do it more effectively and maybe give his teammates a bit more. Here they're looking for a give and go, and Dolberg can't turn the ball into the path of Højbjerg, who's running into the box.
Yeah, certainly can't see Brathwaite on the field. Oh, there's a breakout here, and it's an opportunity for Leckie, who's 1-on-1, 1-on-2, gets a shot off, and it's inside the far post. Australia have scored out of nothing almost, but nobody tracked the run of Leckie. The support was slow in arriving. It didn't matter. He twisted and turned and then beat Schmeichel, far post. Australia have the lead. That goal for Tunisia means nothing now if Australia can hang on. Australia 1, Denmark 0.
Well, he took his goal really well. He twisted and turned like a twisty-turny thing. And then all you got to do is get your shot on target. You know, up the other end, Dolberg couldn't play into Højbjerg. There was a quick little counter-attack. As they'd always done, they'd got bodies up the field. When the ball found Leckie, he's got one player to beat. You know, he's held up, but he's patient. He twists and he turns. Mæhle can't land the glove. And it's a good strike, isn't it? Because you've still got to beat Kasper Schmeichel, who's back, he's closed down his angles. It's a really good left foot strike that dragged it right into the side netting.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to keep a high line, to say the least, but the ball was played to Leckie when he's inside his own half, so offside was moot. He wasn't offside anyway, and then Australia have got a goal, so the underdogs in both of these clashes at 3 o'clock are in front. Tunisia lead France by a goal to nil. Now Australia lead Denmark by a goal to nil. And of course, if things stay as they are, that means Australia, well, not long after Tunisia gave themselves a chance of progressing, Australia have retaken control. There's still around about half an hour to go. Let's not forget added time. There's usually plenty of it. So there's a long way to go in this game. Denmark's changes haven't taken effect, but they were on the attack down. They're undone by the counter. And now they're a goal down, needing 2. I expect that sort of counter-attack option is certainly going to be available to Australia if they are brave enough.
Yeah, that's right, if they are. I still fancy Denmark. There's no great evidence behind that. I just think somehow now Australia have nicked their goal and will just drop back. It'd do them better to keep a shape, I think. Obviously, there's something for them to hang on to as well. And there's been no shortage of hard work from Australia. We thought they might get one good chance, and there it was. Leckie took it really well, and I'd take nothing away from the Socceroos. Just think Denmark now have got to lay siege. 1 goal brings 2, and there'll be plenty enough time. But anyway, they've certainly got to play better, though, Denmark. And Australia have been good value for that this second half. They put a lot of energy into it, and we were looking for that bit of quality. The shot from Leckie actually went through the legs of Mæhle. You know, it's the one place in that goal where Schmeichel couldn't get to it. Desperate dive to his left-hand side, but he's almost sort of passed it right into the side netting there. It was a terrific finish.
And here come Australia again with Irvine dispossessing Anderson. There's still plenty of red shirts backs, but there's a space at the far post. Leckie has just overcut the cross. He'd got him behind Mæhle. If the pass, the cross from Irvine had been a little bit lower, maybe he had a chance, but he's got away from him. But just talking about, of course, Denmark committing downfield, there will be spaces at the back. And, well, if Denmark don't score twice, they're going out. So expect them to commit, no doubt about it. Ball over the top for Lindström, who did arc his run to stay on side, but in doing so, he's given the ball too much of a chance to get away from him. Ryan comes out to the edge of his box and gathers. And the Danish fans, I'll have to say, look pretty miserable right now. Lion's share of possession. They probably haven't tested Ryan enough. They haven't created too many clear-cut opportunities. And the changes haven't been able to get going yet, really. Obviously, Dolberg's on through the middle. Damsgaard, surprised he didn't start, actually, but he's on. And, of course, as soon as they came on, Australia scored.
I think that, for me, Jensen played well for about 10 minutes. And you said, he's supporting attacks, and I just thought, yeah. And then I think you said, he's never going to be able to keep that up. And he just didn't. He just faded out of the game. Here's half a chance, then running through into the box they go, and this shot comes in from Skov Olsen. That's blocked away at the expense of a corner. It's a little bit better from the Danes.
Yeah, as things stand, Australia would still be second. They need to score a few more goals, or I hope Tunisia do. France's goal difference is +3, Australia's is -1. That's as things stand. That's with both Australia and Tunisia leading by a goal to nil. Corner to Denmark, 65th minute, floated deep to the far post, over the head of Christensen. I think it was Irvin who got back to head clear. McGree holds off Damsgaard rather. And now Degenek just hammers it into the Danish half. That'll go all the way through to Schmeichel. I say all the way through, he's halfway inside his own half. He's not in his box at all. And Denmark struggling to break down this resilient Australian side. Matt Ryan's made the saves when he's needed to, but I think the back four's played pretty well in the sense that the shots aren't always getting through. And now's a handball given against Mailer, so more frustrations for the men in red. And Australia sensing a pretty big win. They've qualified for this, of course, finished third in their group, had to come through playoffs, did so. Obviously second best distinctly to France, but they beat Tunisia, and they've certainly given Denmark a game today in the sense that they've not been overawed by the occasion. They've had a game plan. Maybe it was a little bit edge of the seat stuff in the first half, but the longer that first half went on, the less effectual Denmark became. And now, of course, they've struck at the start of the second to give themselves an advantage as time ticks down at the El Janoub Stadium. Who would have thought this? Many pundits before the tournament were thinking Denmark could beat France to this group, but Denmark could be bottom unless they turn this around with just a point from their 3 games.
I think most pundits would have had Australia bottom of the group, wouldn't they? I'd even fancied Tunisia more, to be honest with you, given the circumstance and where it's at. But it is what it is, you know. They've plugged away. They've clearly been quite difficult to break down. They put a lot of energy into it. It's not dissimilar to watching the United States, is it? Watching Australia. A lot of hard work and organisation has gone into them being so solid. And for the moment, that's enough. You know, they've grabbed their goal, and it was a good goal. And they've done that by keeping bodies up the field. Here is Duke now, lovely little shimmy and turn into the box. He goes a cutback, blocked away. Some brilliant dribbling there. And in the end, it all comes to nothing. I think it was Bajic, actually, the man from Dundee United, but he beat 2 or 3 there into the box. Joachim Andersen got round him, and then he just couldn't break past Højbjerg, who'd come to intercept. But that might have been number 2.
Yeah, decent run from Bates there. Trying to pull it back there, that wasn't a shot, but he must have beaten 3 or 4 players. Half-hearted challenges, I'd have to say, until Højbjerg thought, well, enough of this. I'm going to block something as Denmark continue to struggle, because they're going to see 2 more changes for Denmark in the not too distant as well. I mean, the second half, they just haven't offered anything. Skov Olsen had that shot which was blocked by Rowles, but Australia have had a couple of efforts and scored. So Australia have looked more likely in the second half. The changes haven't worked out just yet. Skov Olsen shot, took a deflection off Suter, goes away for a corner kick to Denmark. Hasn't quite convinced me with his striking at goal. He's full of running and often shows for the ball, but his shooting not quite what it could be on another day.
Yeah, he's no Lionel Messi, is he? They might want to wait for Cornelius to come on. They've got a corner kick, but it seems like they're making those 2 changes straight after and bringing the big man on after that.
Yeah, Eriksen's going to swing this one in from the Danish left. It's deep towards the far post. Andersen wins the first header. It's a terrible header. I don't know what he was trying to do, because it's gone high and wide of the near post, and it's not even close. He didn't look like he was going for goal, but I don't know whether he just got a little nudge at the end. It came off his head wrong, and it's well wide. Half a chance has gone, and just said he has been showing for the ball, but his shooting perhaps leaves a little bit to be desired. Skov Olsen is one of the players who's gone off for Denmark. I can tell you that he's been replaced by Skov, and Mailer is the other player for and Cornelius. So it's very much let's go for this now. They have to. Time is running out.
Well, they can't have Skov also keep wasting the ball, can they? I mean, somebody's got to do something different. You know, what's the point of him keep stepping inside and his shots going wayward, you know, rather than now you've got a big man up there and they'll want to get crosses in. So that's the point. He's 6'5", he's Andres Cornelius. He's hit the post in the competition. A ball came across, he was thinking, I might need that in. Then he realised he could head it. And by the time he thought about all that, he managed to put a great chance right into the woodwork. But he's a big target man. And I think that they've got to do something basic and obvious. And that seems to be what they're doing, trying to win second ball. They do just that. You know, long ball up the field. And I think they've got to play a bit desperate because, you know, that's where they are right now.
Yeah, they are struggling, Denmark, to create too much. I wonder if they'll switch Lindstrom from left to right. Yeah, Skov is playing on the left at the moment, although inside him is Lindstrom. Ball into the box as a player down. Oh, has he given a penalty or was he given offside? I think it's offside against Denmark. The hand's gone up. Australia are furious. But there's a Danish player down in the penalty box, but I think it's offside against Dolberg. So it's no penalty. Dolberg's now just having a word with... yeah, he is just offside, no doubt about it. I say no doubt. He's about a shoulder offside. He looks beyond Souters, so I think that's an easy call. Whether it was a penalty is anyone's guess, but it's a moot point because the referee's given correctly offside. Time running out for Denmark. Australia heading through to the knockout stages as things stand. They're leading by a goal to nil. Here's John.
Right then, so Australia as it stands will be going through, but there's a long way to go. Maybe a quarter of the game, maybe even more than that. You know, when they get to 90 minutes, you never quite know what's going to be on the board. There's not been lots of holds-ups necessarily, and clearly no more than a minute for the goal celebration, which, you know, was long and loud, and you can forgive Australia for that because it was a great goal from Matthew Leckie, the Melbourne player. He was done pretty well. For the moment, the think tank there for Australia, they're all wanting to get in on it now. They've all got a word for Graham Arnold, what they need to do now. Well, maybe bring fresh legs on. See a long ball from Joachim Andersen, maybe an opportunity. Can Robert Skov get the ball in? He play right wing or left wing back. He very versatile, but a definite winger, somebody who will deliver hopefully a decent ball in for their big strikers now. Dolberg and Cornelius both on as Barr picks it up into midfield now, just getting a little bit tricky for room in there, and of course with the Socceroos something to hold on to now. Maybe easier to make those little volley sprints. Skov now with the cross in, the chance for a header. It's a shocker. Oh dear, he'd all the time in the world. Just bigging him up there, not that I need it, 6'5", go and win your header. And then he just nods it straight out, so far wide. I mean, he'd beat his marker there, just shrugged, rolls out the way. Maybe the whistle had gone up after that. Anyway, changes to be made for Australia's Riley McGree has run his race now. And he will get replaced by their... at number 8, trying to work out who that is.
Wright.
Yeah, Bailey Wright, who is at Sunderland and is a centre-back, so that's actually what they intend to do. Number 8 from in the midfield, but no, he's at the back. He's only 6 foot though, so even though he's in there, really he shouldn't have much of a chance with Dolberg or Cornelius or Christensen or Anderson, if any of those guys are up for a set piece. But Denmark have been really off it today. I think 20 minutes they looked like they were going to dominate and score, and then they looked tired, and then they've never just really come back from that. I don't, this second half they've done next to nothing, and it just it looks less than obvious now. I fancied them all the way through this, but after watching it you think, well, are they going to do it today? Eriksen's a great player, isn't he? But we haven't seen him pulling the strings either today.
No, I think they've been a little bit too desperate. I mean, the first 20 minutes, yeah, you'd think that sooner or later they're going to score. But the longer that first half went on, I got more and more disappointed with them. Second half, they haven't got going. And I just think they're too desperate. I mean, Anderson's trying to spray all these long passes. Either they've not been good enough or his teammates haven't controlled. There's another one that's gone begging. They're just too desperate. You know, they got Eriksen in the middle of the park. They got Damsgaard. Give it to them. Stop trying to carve open a defence that they haven't carved open from inside their own half. It's just all a little bit desperate as there's a yellow card given against Skov. Just wrestled Bacchus to the ground there, and he didn't really try and hide it either, so he's gone into the book first day in to get himself a booking. But there's 15 minutes left now. I mean, Denmark have just been a real disappointment for the last possibly hour of the game. I don't know what made them just start to panic. I don't know if it's tiredness, pressure of the situation. Credit to Australia. I thought there was a good chance for Cornelius moment to go, but I think Australia have been as good in this second half. They haven't had as much of the ball. They've had more efforts at goal. They've scored. And it just looks desperate from Denmark, doesn't it? Because they're sort of keeping them at arm's length.
Yeah, with all due respect to Australia, I don't think the teams left in the competition are going to be too worried about playing the Socceroos in the knockout. But they've done a good job here. Denmark just flattered to deceive and offered next to nothing. And actually, here is Bihic finishing fairly strongly. Ball breaks away though, and again Eriksen's on it, runs away from Moy, gets it out of his feet. Skov's on his bike over the halfway line. Moy sticks with him, makes him honest, and forces him to turn back. Now with Højbjerg, little semicircle in the middle of the park there, gets rid of Duke, but they're still in their own half, Denmark. The red and whites not exactly dynamite today. Yeah, to explode, but anyway, Eriksen now with the long ball, looking for Bar, takes it on his instep. Cornelius gets his shot, comes in immediately, and then, well, Dolberg tries to hook it over his shoulder. He does that, but it ends up straight in the hands of Matt Ryan, and the Socceroos captain takes that very comfortably, and in the end, it all comes to nothing. Matt Ryan holds onto the ball for a while and launches it long. As it stands, they're going through to play more World Cup trapdoor football. Their fans will be loving it. We've seen them in the Al Janoub Stadium, and they were watching it through their fingers the first half, but they've got that goal, and it's really given them a massive boost. Lecky one-on-one, held up Mailer, managed to turn him inside out, put the shot between his legs, and that seemed to wrong foot Kasper Schmeichel diving to his left-hand side. He just couldn't get there. The ball nestled right into the side netting. Well, the Tunisian fans who had been screaming after Kasri scored on 58 minutes, they'll have heard that goal. That would have silenced their crowd in that game. But there's still maybe a twist and turn yet, as Bates does a good job, and then Jackson Irvine a little heel, and then Duke trying to tiptoe his way through a challenge. Højbjerg does pretty well at this point, wins the ball, and then again they're working hard to even get out their own half. That was so easy the first half. Looked like there was a foul there as Bar comes tumbling down, but the referee happy to let them play on. Mr. Gorbal, as now Skov runs into Deganek, and he wins his little duel, goes back to Suter, who launches it long, too long this time, and Christensen can go back to his own keeper, Kasper Schmeichel. And again, nothing much accruing for Denmark, who need to find a way. They've got big players, they can just dump it up the field now, they do just that. Cornelius gets the first touch, and then Suter is able to clear it away, but Denmark do win the spoils here. You know, a scrappy second ball it may be, but it'll do, it gets them up the field. Skov back on it, he's seen plenty of it since he's come on. Højbjerg a little bit deeper. He gets the ball out with feet to Joachim Andersen now to Bar. A chance for a cross. Right-footed ball too deep, way too deep. What a waste. You've got two hulking great big centre forwards in the middle, and he just thumps it right out the far side.
Yeah, really disappointing. I mean, it's been a real struggle. I mean, Skov's got space down the left, but I mean, he just can't control the ball, so he's under pressure for his second touch. And yeah, the changes just haven't worked. So I was really disappointed with Dolberg and that sort of flick over his shoulder, because it's just a cheap way to give away possession. You know, Australia are winning. Denmark's World Cup's over, and he's flicking a back heel over his head. I mean, get hold of the ball, make sure that Denmark have possession. It's all a bit cheap, and I wouldn't be happy. Whether he's upset because he didn't start the game is open to question, but Denmark just haven't been good in the second half. They started off okay, we've talked about it, and Hulman's made changes, hasn't he? But I don't think any of them have worked yet. And the big players, I suppose Christensen, Eriksson hasn't quite worked. Anderson wants to do it all on his own, and it's just playing into Australia's hands. They've still got 10 minutes plus stoppage time to see out, and that's quite a long time. And that's another terrible pass. This time it was a simple one, Anderson to Christensen, and it's out of play for a throw in. Yeah, they've been terrible in this game.
Just before that, I was just looking there and thinking, well, they're trying to organise. Højbjerg had his back to play. It's like, you know, he was in the middle, you know, sort of should have been waiting for easy ball for the centre backs, and then that brought about that terrible ball from Joachim Andersen. I'm not excusing that, because that was just a shocker all by itself. But Højbjerg had just turned his back on play that. Now you can't find him in the middle for an easy ball, but all of a sudden there's a little bit of pressure that wasn't there. They're all over the shop today, 6s and 7s. You know, it's almost like the recriminations have started while there's 10 minutes left of regulation play, and you know, they need to get their heads back in it, because they get a goal now and all of a sudden there's an incredible momentum shift in terms of emotion and all that. Here is Barr now driving forward, but again, it's a spirited effort, isn't it, from players to get goal side in the yellow and green. There's again Eriksson on the ball. Anderson again just over the halfway line, finds the ball out with his feet for Barr. What's his ball like this time? Better ball into the middle. Cornelius holds it up, lays it back. That's what he's there for. Then shot comes in and blocked away. That's what they're trying to do. That essentially is a bit better, and obviously it was a good block, but at least you can see something out of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the crossing in this game has been pretty ordinary, to say the least. But he's given his strikers something at least to try and get hold of. Just the run there from Lackey. He looks a little bit tired as well. Won't be surprised if he's making way sometimes. And Australia are actually going to make a change. McLaren's coming on. Not sure who for. Could be Duke, actually. It's just flashed up on the board. So McLaren replacing him. But I mean, tiredness has got to be a factor. But still, Denmark have got to be better with their deliveries into the box. There hasn't been enough, you know, decent deliveries, half a chance to win ahead. There just hasn't been enough of it. If you look at the possession stats, Denmark have had an awful lot in this game, and as much in the second half. But I mean, Ryan hasn't made a save.
No, I was going to say, what has Matt Ryan had to do? He just comes out for a ball that just ballooned up in the air. Eriksson close to him, but not close enough to make any kind of challenge. Matt Ryan just drops on the ball. You know, I mean, he'll give credit to his team, because whatever they're doing, just to nullify any quality out of Denmark. But I think more than anything else, Kasper Human made up his mind that he wanted his inside left and inside right to, you know, chip in with the goals today. It just didn't work out. You know, and if anything, rather than those players contributing to open play and to something cohesive, both of them had, you know, ploughed their lone furrow, gone with the ball, lost the ball, and that was, you know, that's the end of their contribution. If they weren't scoring, then they weren't doing anything, you know, and neither did. You know, both had poor games. I've got to say as well, I like Mikkel Damsgaard, but have you seen him? I'm looking for him now. He's gone deep for it, but he's come on, and I don't think he's kicked the ball. So, yeah, the change hasn't necessarily worked, have they?
No, and I think, I mean, in this sort of late stage, I think Eriksson's probably a little bit too deep. I think from the back, they could simplify it. I mean, Anderson's just trying to arrow all sorts of Hollywood passes all over the place. But, I mean, they've got to switch play quicker, get it out wide, get a cross in. They've got two big strikers. I mean, they're passing it around on the halfway line at the moment. They need 2 goals. Somebody's got to take charge. I'm not sure it's come from the sidelines. I don't think it's come from Eriksson. Ball flicked on, but it's just beyond Dahlberg, who lost his balance anyway. And that's through to the keeper. But I mean, if they're going to go long, aim for Dahlberg or Cornelius. They played it out to the flanks, and then it's a 50-50 whether they win the ball.
Exactly. They might as well just pump it up the middle right now, because they're not getting out wide anyway. Chance to be a fine thing for that. I've got to say, you've got to give credit to Australians' line now. Just watch it. Suter and Rolls just keeping them so high up the field there. Even if Cornelius wins his header, which he might do, still such a long way to go. That defensive line just keep pushing the Red Shirts back and condensing play. And I think they've got a lot of their tactics right today. You've got to give credit where it's due. And Graham Arnold has got a tune out of his team. He'd held players at the park. He maybe felt that they needed to score at least one today, and they've done just that. Maybe a chance for two now as the drive is on just the edge of the area. Shot comes in. I think Jamie McLaren's first effort was it. In fact, no, it's not him. It's Bacchus, Keanu Bacchus, the St Mirren man, who had a shot blocked away there. But I think after a while, you've really got to give them a lot of credit, the Socceroos. They've done as well as they can. They've held Denmark's at bay, but done that so well. We're talking about Matt Ryan having nothing to do. Anyway, Degenek now with the long throw again. Højbjerg is the man who seems to always get on the end of his long throw. As the ball spooned up the park, out comes Suter, wins his header. And again, Australia fight for it with Moij, chips it up in the air. Not great from him. But again, Denmark have it inside their own half, exactly where they don't want it. Is Barr picks it up now. Got to roll his foot over the ball. Again with Joachim Andersen. Picks it out with his feet. Out to the left-hand side. And again, Højbjerg makes the three with the centre-backs. But they're going nowhere quickly, and it's almost too patient. Why don't they just sling it down the middle? Well, again, the two strikers have driven wide apart. We see the ball to Cornelius now, gets a little knockback. Again, Australia fighting for that ball, and Moy is able just on a half volley to flick it away. Damsgaard keeps it in. But they seem to be constantly looking for an angle to chip the ball to Cornelius when they don't really need it.
No, I think they need to speed it up as well. I mean, the longer we're talking, the time's ticking. They need 2 goals. Get it out wide, get it in the middle. There's a cross coming in now. It's headed away beautifully by Suter, and that's back up towards the halfway line. I mean, that's half the problem, isn't it? I mean, Suter and Rals, you'd think their strength is in the aerial battle. And so Denmark probably are reluctant to do it. That's half the problem. But, I mean, they need 2 goals. It hasn't worked at their open play stuff. Australia have been full of running, haven't given them any time or space in possession. It's been a real struggle. They've got worse the longer the game's gone on. Denmark, by contrast, Australia got better. I think they look very solid out there, Australia, and I wouldn't say they don't deserve to be in front. They haven't had many shots, but they've controlled this second half, taken a nice goal when it came along, and Denmark are huffing and puffing and not doing anything.
Good ball this time, and an opportunity. Ball into the box. Dahlberg, can he get there? Sliding challenge comes in. Oh, it's a terrible shot from Alexander Bart. All opened up there. He's trying to get a slice on it to get a bit more pace on it. Just sliced it wide. Get it on target. Put your boot through it. Get your knee over the ball. Make sure it's on target, and at least force the keeper into a save. A lot of time on it there, and it's just a rubbish shot. That's kind of summed them up, really. We're going to see another change for Australia, more fresh legs. The goal scorer goes off. Another hero then for the Socceroos. Matthew Leckie has run his race today, but he'd been great, scored a great goal. I think he could do much more. And Ajin Hristic is the man who comes on. Plays his football for Hellas Verona. Looking at Leckie's goal again. It's a tremendous effort, that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to over-egg it. If Messi scored it, he'd be raving on about it. I mean, it's not, a wonder goal, but he's turned the defender, he's arrowed it inside the post, keeper's nowhere near it. He had no support, 2 defenders, couldn't have asked for more. Very cool finish from Leckie, which looks like it's sending Australia through. Of course, if Denmark were to get 1 goal and equaliser, that would, of course, hand the advantage to Tunisia. in terms of progression, but they've been good value for a win so far. I don't want to tempt fate. There's only a minute of normal time left. We'll see how much stoppage time's added on at the end of that.
It'll seem like plenty, won't it, by the time they've got through it. I don't think there's hardly been a stoppage. I don't see why there'd be any more than 5 minutes. Anyway, ball with Barr. It would only take 1 second to upset the apple cart. Long ball into the box, through the box then. Damsgaard judged to have fouled his man at the far post. He can't believe it, but Degenek is down. He's not going to get up any time soon. Let's take a look. Was there really a foul in here, Rob?
Well, no, I don't think so. He stood his ground. His arm isn't up. He's run into him. You might argue he knows what he's doing, but I don't understand. He's not in control of the ball, so I don't understand why the Danish player has to get out of the way. Just because Degenek doesn't know where the ball or the Dane is. I don't think it's a free kick, but you know, it's frustrations for Denmark. 90 minutes is up. We've got stoppage time, and yeah, Denmark, they don't look like they're scoring twice. I don't think they're going to score one.
No, I just thought, just assumed today, oh, they'll be too strong. But from the moment I issued that from my lips, I think they've just dissolved into a nothingness. Anyway, they've still got a chance to set the party. 1 goal would do that. Australia, for most of the day, have been in second place in the group. For one moment, Tunisia got there as they break forward, but this time, Anders Christensen just comes across and deals with that, scoops the ball away. Yeah, Tunisia scored, but it was only a couple of minutes really after that in the timeline that Australia grabbed their goal through Lecky. And whatever Kadri done for Tunisia, being wiped out. At least the Tunisian fans got a chance to celebrate, and apparently made a load of noise after their goal, as you would do. But then it was Australia's turn, but they haven't quite done it just yet. And here come Denmark into the box. They go. Ball won't break for Eriksson there. Just for a second, I just thought Australia looked like they switched off. And what they can't do is 6 minutes added time when we've already had a minute of that. They can't for 1 minute be thinking about all those things about we'll be in the hat, won't it be great, won't we have a big party, and you know they're not there yet. Ball into the box here again for Denmark, scraped away by defensive header. Barr now, pot shots, a terrible ball to the edge of the area, headed away, and again work to do for Denmark. Ball just flicked up there. Dolberg on the half turn. He went down looking for a free kick though. He's never going to get. You know, just desperate stuff when you just think it will be stronger. Drag the ball, take it with you. He's a big, strong man there, and he went down like a sack of spuds. Cornelius there just holding the ball up, but again, it just pinged off his head a little bit too far. They've got to recycle it. Denmark in the Australian half, down the right-hand side now, as Barr puts a cross in to nobody in particular. Rolls comes across and heads that one away, and at the moment, it's a little bit like shots in. Australia very much deep in their own territory, just to say that. Joachim Andersen forced to go back, and then Schmeichel with the long clearance again, looking for Cornelius this time. There are 2 men on him, and it means that he didn't get his free header, and then it's almost like a back pass to Kasper Schmeichel. For Australia, anywhere will do at the moment. They're getting a little bit desperate too, and it's a sort of desperate end to this game. But I tell you what, they'll be absolutely gutted if they don't come away with a victory. Now we've got so far the Socceroos. Cornelius gets head to it again for Damsgaard. And down the left-hand side, Skov. And again, can they get a cross in? Damsgaard could have done then. He finds Skov instead, who's a bit close to the byline. And he tries to get the cross in. It's going to be a corner kick. They've got so many of these, you know, monstrous 6'5"-ish blokes, haven't they? You know, Christiansen, Anderson, you know, Cornelius now. Surely here's an opportunity for Denmark if Eriksson can get the ball right. Well, there's a lot of praying going on in the stadium one way or another. This has got a flying for Denmark. Last chance saloon, really. They got 2 goals to get in, what, 2.5 minutes? Well, it can be done. It starts with 1 goal, doesn't it? Eriksson then delivers a decent-looking ball in straight down to Matt Ryan. He's not going to get it for any time soon, Rob.
No, I mean it's been disappointing from Denmark. I don't think Christensen, sorry, I keep calling him Christensen. Eriksen's really been on the ball enough. I think Højbjerg's been a little bit passive, and they've wasted far too much time. It's all very well in hindsight, and you think you're boss in possession, we're going to score eventually. But you're looking back at 4 minutes on the clock. We just didn't do enough with the ball. The subs haven't worked. Nobody seems to want to cross it. Skov took an age to get across there. We're not seeing much down the right-hand side from Bar, and when he does get a cross in, it's generally been poor as it's hooked into a dangerous area by Eriksen, but Ryan just beat Dolberg to the ball and then it's hit away. The subs haven't worked. I mean, this is the difference, I suppose, with Denmark. A lot's been said about their teamwork, their team ethic, how they set up. They beat France home and away in the Nations League. It's a great team ethic, but when they need that bit of magic that, you know, France could call on Mbappe or Messi or whatever, Denmark are quite an ordinary side. That was left by Degenek. Ryan was expecting him to clear it. In the end, he stuck out a boot, and it's just the corner. Minute to go. Schmeichel's coming up.
Oh dear, is this going to set the party? Well, there could be both sets of fans crying in the stadium. Denmark grab a goal out of this because I don't think they've got time to get two. The corner kick is hit through the box. Cornelius sends it back where it came. It's on the roof of the net. Free header for him, and he's thinking about picking his spot out. There's so many defenders and goalkeeper on the line, but he's got to get it on target. And again, it's just another chance gone begging.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get any more chances. Ryan was talked about in the 10th minute for time wasting, so he's going to take as much time off the clock as he can. Tunisia beating France by a goal to nil. Australia beating Denmark by a goal to nil. Who'd have that'd have been a nice price double if anybody had risked it. But Australia, for me, I think they've deserved it. First part of the game, first 20 minutes, yeah, they're under pressure, but the longer it's gone on, the stronger they've been. And Denmark have been super ordinary. Australia have made them be ordinary. And Ryan, we've talked about it. The most thing he's had to do was that clearance from a back pass moments ago. That's all he's had to do this second half.
Yeah, I was saying in the first half, I thought Denmark were a 6, Australia were a 5. But over the course of the game, I think it's the other way around. And it's the Australians now celebrating. They're going wild. The whole bench comes off and onto the field. Lecky's goal has separated these two teams, and it is Australia who will go forward out of this Group D. Broken hearts after Tunisia had beaten France, broken Danish hearts, but they simply didn't play well enough today. Final scoreline, Australia 1, Denmark 0. Thanks for joining us.